For your attention to this matter. My sources tonight are an experienced group of former top national security and intelligence officials. It's great to have you all here. Beth, let me just start with you in terms of what you make of this being the first big departure that we are seeing from Trump's inner circle, even if they are framing it as a promotion, essentially.
Yeah. You know, I may shock people here, but I actually think this is a good move. And I think it's a good move because it wasn't working. This particular position is so important in coordinating and making sure that the president's policy is being executed. And he was failing in that. When you look at the Signal chat and you read it like an intel officer, you can see that he was not executing his role as national security advisor. He was not providing that strategic vision. He was not telling everybody to stop. The president had already made a decision. He wasn't offering to go to the president to do the decision. I feel like he was doing a bad job. And I think that the president should have someone there who is of the same mind and implementing his policies.
Yeah, I wonder what you make of how this all came down in terms of, it was reported this morning there was a rumor that he was going to be ousted and his principal deputy. Then we confirmed it. The White House kind of waited a little bit before actually getting to this. And the Vice President, J.D. Vance, he weighed in tonight because President Trump was not answering questions, and this is what he had to say.
So he wasn't let go. He is being made ambassador to the United Nations, which, of course, is a Senate-confirmed position. I think you can make a good argument that it's a promotion. The media wants to frame this as a firing. Donald Trump has fired a lot of people. He doesn't give them Senate-confirmed appointments afterwards. What he thinks is that Mike Waltz is going to better serve the administration, most importantly, the American people in that role.
Do you think it's viewed that way as a promotion?
Absolutely not. There's no comparison between these two jobs in terms of which is more significant. The National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, you are literally a heartbeat away from every one of the most significant national security decisions a president will ever make, or that's the way it's supposed to work. I think it's from the first administration, the first Trump administration, it was pretty clear that the president wasn't particularly interested in what was going on at the UN. He's not someone who has ever made that a priority of his national security decisions. So no, I think everything about this course of events, the way this played out today, there are several indicators of a distinct lack of preparation. The fact that the reporting came out early this morning and then it wasn't refuted or acknowledged in any way for hours. Eventually, this kind of what appears to have been a late idea, this plot hatches to move him into the UN ambassador's role. I mean, each piece of this has the kind of reek of like, hey, that's a good idea, let's do that.
Well, and that Reuters photo would be remarkable even if he had not been removed from this position, because, I mean, this was just taken yesterday. He happened to be checking his phone. These cabinet meetings go on for quite some time, and he was using Signal, which is notable because, yes, the Stephen Chung at the White House is saying, this is on our phones, it's downloaded. The president did just say the other day that he wanted people to stop using Signal and said that was his piece of advice is, hey, maybe don't use it.
Well, look, I will say this. If you want to communicate with anybody, right, you want to use text messages, which are easily hackable. You want to use WhatsApp. You want to use Signal. If you're going to use one thing, if you're going to make regular phone calls, we know the Chinese are all over our telecom networks, right? We learned that in the Salt Typhoon attack. If you're going to use something, might as well use Signal. At least it's encrypted end to end, right? Not ideal, but better than regular old phones.
But don't they have their own system that they could be using, a government
Sure.
system? I mean, they're not us at this table.
No. I'm with you 100%. But what we know for sure is if those systems were effective and usable, we'd be using them, right? The reality is the government doesn't have the kind of messaging apps that are on the CIA officials' desktops. They don't have those on mobile phones. They just aren't there. They're not effective. They're not usable. To the extent you have them, they're on these kludgy phones. You got to put a pack on the back. You got to log into it. It's a pain in the butt to use. That's why you have them using Signal. If you're going to do something, if you're going to pick up your phone and talk to the Secretary of State or talk to the CIA director, or talk to Tulsi Gabbard, you could see an incoming voice call for Tulsi Gabbard on that one. I'd rather do it on Signal than anything else. Not great, better than the alternatives.
Not a chance.
You two, so this side of the table seems to disagree with that.
Those phones you described, well, they are clunky, they are hard to use because they are so secure. They're provided to you by the federal government. They have layers and layers of security protocols built in that no commercial device has. And I will also say that cabinet-level officials have the easiest access to that stuff of anyone on the planet. So they've got entire staffs to provide them with things they're ready to use. And Signal it is encrypted in transit, so protected from being picked off, but it is decrypted on your phone. So anyone who gets into your phone, if you're not deleting the messages, can see what you've written. And if you're deleting the messages, you're not complying with the government
Presidential Records Act.
And
so it's a catch-22.
It's not approved for classified information.
Of course.
Right.
Well, we don't know.
So we don't know what's
know.
on there.
Right.
We don't know what's on there, but
well, we saw
I'm
one
sorry
of the
I'm withholding
chats,
on
to
this.
be fair. Can we talk about this dynamic, though, that has been set up here, which I think is really interesting in terms of Secretary of State Rubio is going to be doing both. I mean, and for people who don't know, he is now the Secretary of everything, it seems, because he is already acting as the acting USAID administrator. He's the National Archivist. He's Secretary of State, obviously. And now he is going to be the interim NSA. I mean, what do you take? Something has not been done since Kissinger was doing that for President Nixon.
Little different, Nixon era,
Yeah.
Watergate.
But what do you make of that? I mean, how many responsibilities is that for Secretary Rubio?
It's ridiculous, but I think what it reflects are two things. One is that they weren't ready for this. So this was like, who can we put in there? Oh, this kind of makes sense. They're kind of the same jobs, right? They're not. They're actually, you're supposed to, as the National Security Advisor, adjudicate everybody else, and state and DOD are always fighting. But it also, to me, shows that this job doesn't actually matter to them. I think this is one of the issues.
Well, that's interesting.
Is that, President Trump has always felt that he is the one, and we see it all the time, he's the one who will be making these decisions. And he has a lot of confidence in his own ability to do that, and he will bring people in. But it is really he and Witkoff. And they'll bring in a couple people, but it's not necessarily the National Security Advisor who is that trusted person.
Yeah, well, I mean, in just the short timeline of all of this, we have someone also here who is joining us who knows what it's like to feel the full force of West Wing personnel decisions by President Trump. The former White